Hey everybody, it's Alan and Victoria from Blue 7 Content. We got some merch that has zero practical purposes. Uh, hope everybody's
And you
doing well.
can't buy it
Guess what?
anywhere.
No, yeah, wait, sure you can. Send me some money, I'll send you one. Uh, I'm upselling. We do product merch now. Welcome to the new Blue 7. Y'all, we're not going to talk about AI today. I'm sure it'll slip into the conversation, but we are going to talk about two things that they're kind of two in one. And Victoria and I can come at this from a few perspectives. It's editing. It has to do with editing work that you turn into clients and having an editor to review writers' work that your writers do. There's a lot of talk, do you need an editor? Do we even need an editor? Shouldn't our writers, if they're freelancers, shouldn't they turn in work that's completely ready to go? And listen, y'all, if you're skipping editing or if you're having just any doubts about whether you need an editor, let's lay that to rest now. Victoria, what do you think?
Here's the thing. I feel like we need to discern. There's freelance writers as an audience. There's um agencies who are creating an in-house team as an audience.
Hmm.
And then there's agencies like us, right, which are your external in-house team essentially. So, I think we have to discuss those layers first. So,
Okay.
who do you want me to attack first?
Let's start with basic. Let's start with what are the expectations first on a writer that's hired by either a law firm, an agency, whatever, they're freelancing. What is their responsibility with that piece of content that they're turning in?
Okay. So I'm going to come at this from the standpoint of a independent contractor who may have some guidelines from like the firm specifically or from an agency. Here's what I know about one our success story in freelance writing, but also others that I know that are big in the freelance world. And that they are two in one. They are their own writer and their own editor. Um, I think it's important to be able to assess your own writing. I think it's important that once you write to give yourself space before you edit. And by space, I mean set it aside for like an hour
Mm.
and then come back to it. I mean, for me, this is basic writing instruction kind of 101. This is what I taught while I was teaching higher ed was when you write, you are responsible for reading over your own work. I think that just goes hand in hand. And the people that I know who are freelancing in the six figures are doing that.
Okay. Um, so we've gotten pieces back. Like we work with writers. We work with a lot of writers, and most of the time, most of the writers all understand that. And when you and I were anybody who's not familiar with our story, Victoria and I were freelance writing in between career changes. So we had a lot of experience with this. It's just how we led into Blue 7. Um,
Hmm.
I would always edit the work that I turned in. First of all, that's not a perfect, flawless system. There's still going to be problems, which is the second part of the
Oh,
conversation that we'll talk about.
yeah.
But you can tell, we can tell when a piece doesn't get edited. Usually, like we can have writers that we know. We're still going to find some things in edited pieces. That's fine. People are notoriously horrible at looking at their own work, but they still clean up most of it, right? And
Hmm.
when we get pages that maybe didn't go through that writer editing process before it came to us, it's pretty easy to tell. Usually it doesn't happen a lot, but that's a no-no. I mean, you need to edit your pieces. I think I always did. I know you did. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, I think if you're a writer, you are also an editor. And I don't think that's a shocker to anybody. I think you understand you should be turning in a piece. I always tell our writers with the understanding that there's going to be some mix-ups that when you turn in a piece, it should be, in your opinion, it could theoretically go on the law firm's website, like right there,
Yeah.
without
Published
having
ready.
no
That
grammatical problems, spelling, grammar, factually correct. Not to say you're not going to need a check, but that's what we expect.
correct. Yeah. I mean, that's the expectation. And I think probably a separate video or a separate conversation can be what is it or how is it like to receive criticism or receive
Mm.
feedback? So I don't know if I really want to touch on that today, but I
Yeah, we'll
think
save
it,
that. That's a good topic.
yeah, I think it kind of begs the question though, why hire an editor? if you have a writer or writing team, if the expectation is that that page needs to be published ready, why hire an editor?
Well, you're asking me,
Sure.
because they're going to, like we just alluded to, you and I both know. I mean, hell, we're both pretty good writers. We work with really great writers. I've never met a writer that's capable of not producing an error, right? Uh, there has to be an extra check because sometimes, especially when you get into the routine of things, because when I was doing this, when you were doing this, we were writing for hours every day, looking at the same words. We were doing the same stuff, and it's easy for something to slip after a while. And
Mhm.
if someone's not watching over your shoulder, first of all, this is human nature. If someone's not watching over your shoulder, you're gonna find where the limit of what you can get away with, right? I really think it's crucial for everybody, no matter what professional level you're at, to have somebody that's you're accountable to. And an editor adds in
Mhm.
that accountability, in my opinion. So I think if you want to have a great piece, if you want to be more confident with the stuff you're putting on your website, that it's correct, it's not going to get you in any trouble, especially if you're a law firm or a highly regulated industry, an
Yeah, I
editor
can
that
tell.
can review these things. Because the editor doesn't have to focus and write that page. They have to be good. It's a different skill set, but it allows
Yeah.
them to focus more on some things that the writers don't have to focus on as much. But the editor is specialization. I mean, it's just specialization.
Here's what I would say too. You and I have been doing this for, I mean, I know Blue Seven's only about 5 years old, but we've been doing this for like 10 plus years now. I mean, I know I was writing in
Mhm.
newspapers when I was an undergrad, in magazines,
Yeah.
which I know is different than online and SEO, but I remember the good old days of the guide, if there even was one. It was, here's the title, here's three key phrases, make sure they appear in every paragraph. Like,
Yeah.
and I don't even think there was like lines to paragraphs. There wasn't even a suggestion on how that translated to a mobile phone. It was still desktop perspective.
Yeah.
And
Mostly.
the reason why I'm talking about this is because in over the 10 years, I have not only seen guidelines shift and change. But even with the clients that have been with us for the entirety of the life of Blue Seven, it has morphed into
Mm,
these hyper specific um, list of instructions on how to
mm,
curate the page. So it's no longer write me 1,000 words on a car accident injury or, car accident in Manhattan. It's now write that, have one line, have
mm.
3 lines, have
We
8
need these
H2,
keywords within the first 5% of the
have
page.
yeah, have this internal link, not this, a parent page, have like, I'm trying not to,
Your
like,
internal
divulge
your
some of the
hyperlink
stuff.
words should be exactly match this. Like, it's yeah, it is we didn't even
Correct.
do any of that
It
when we were
is
starting. None.
No. So this concept of editing the work, like there's one thing to just write the page and then edit for grammar, sentence structure. I mean, really that's it, right? Grammar and sentence structure and making sure that whatever idea is coming across is relevant to the topic, to the H2 that you
Yeah.
have. Pretty normal, generic, like writing stuff. But over time, and I mean, I guess I would love to interview one of our writers that are like new to the scene because, to me, I feel like I've been the frog in the slowly boiling water, right? And so, like, every 6 months, something
Mm,
else gets added to the list of things, and I'm already primed for what they want. So, just adding something on is fine. But having someone brand new, like, I feel like our onboarding process is awesome, but it has gotten excessively,
yeah,
like,
even our onboarding process has gotten harder.
yeah. And it's like harder for these writers to write because, in a sense, you're not really asking a written product, you're asking to put a puzzle together. And
Mm,
albeit that is very exciting, for some writers.
mm,
But then I have other writers that are like, I cannot conform and I cannot think. So then we give them a client that has a very broader scope of instructions, and they do really well there. I would love to see,
Yeah.
like, kind of a compare and contrast, um, but, you know.
Well, we've taken remember we've had this conversation with a client recently about we've been asking certain clients to give us more and let us differentiate your pages more because I felt like we were turning in things that were just there were it, like you said, it was putting a puzzle together. It was formulaic. I felt like we weren't differentiating from law firm to law firm. So we proactively asked, what can we do to make these better? And they basically said, nothing. It's fine. This you're putting this formula. So, and I think when you do a formulaic page, granted, it might be necessary depending on what we're trying to target. Different clients do different things. Um, I just think it sucks the creativity out of it sucks your ability to make a really creative page when you have to adhere to these strict formulas with each and every section. It's very hard to get a flow going. Some
Yeah,
writers do not respond to that. And
yeah,
this, back to the editing conversation, um, because it's become like a puzzle, that's where the editors are really good because they only have to focus on the big picture puzzle. They
yeah,
can see the overall page. They don't have to write it from scratch. They can go through and look, does it have what it should have? Now, mind you, our editors are fantastic writers. We promote from within in our editing system for writers that have been with us for a while, who
yeah.
know what they're doing. 'Cause really, I you can't edit these unless you have been in the trenches writing these. I firmly believe that because there is just it's so much, and this is another reason we should talk to someone new because it is a lot coming in from now to when we were just because there are no entry level writing jobs. First of all, I mean that just doesn't exist. You're jumping
Nope.
into the deep end if you do
Yep.
human writing. AI has taken those lower level jobs, so you have to have an editor to help you get all of those puzzle pieces together. I'm glad you said that. Now you said the puzzle. It's like putting a puzzle together, but also you have to be a good writer, and that is two very separate skill sets. And an
Well,
editor can help merge that into one.
yeah. Can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Can you, like, lift your hand up like this and then, like, move it towards the center? No, the center of, like, the screen. No, not your face, the center of the screen, yeah. No, you have to do it this way.
Or this way.
Wait, what side am I on you?
You're on my left. I'm looking at you on my left.
Oh, so it doesn't really work. I was hoping we could yeah! I want you to insert a picture of a puzzle.
Oh, okay. Is that the side you're on to me?
Yeah, that's why I was like, "You're going."
Okay, because I can flip it. I can flip it when I do the editing. I can flip the sides we're on. So okay. Well, yeah. Hold on. This is gonna be an interesting challenge. But yeah, here's, ladies and gentlemen, we are in theory holding up a puzzle,
Yeah.
and we'll see if that works out. Victoria has all these
Um,
ideas,
I
and
know.
they just go off somewhere.
They do. I wanted to touch on I think the idea is gonna escape me right now, but going back to editing and kind of being this wider surveyor of, like, what goes into the page, the writer's responsibility to ensure that they are adhering to those guidelines, like, at the end of the day, it's still the writer's responsibility, like, if there is a missing component, it is a writer's responsibility to then add that component. I think our editors at times just wanna get through a page and they'll just put in components where they need to be and then move on without kinda
Yeah.
giving that feedback. And I think writers can take real advantage because in the writer's mind, they're like, I did double check my work for
Yeah.
sentence structure and grammar, and it reads well, but they may not understand fully the requirements of the page. I mean, I know if I wrote for a certain client, there's no way. I don't even feel comfortable editing a certain client because I
Hmm.
mean, that's not our job. Like, we're founders. It's not our
Yeah.
job
Yeah.
to be doing this. So we
We
really
did.
have to
We
trust our
started out
team.
as the only writers and editors, but we can't do that anymore.
No, if we want to expand, we can. So we have to trust that they're able to do that, but I think that's really where having an editor on your team becomes really, really important. And I think that's where I take issue I know you said we're not gonna talk about AI, but we're gonna. I think it's
Let's do
where
it.
I take issue with taking an H1, putting it into some type of LLM, having it churn out whatever, and then handing it over to your editor and telling them to
Mm,
edit. It's like, are you editing for what? Are you editing for guideline?
mm,
Like for these components, these puzzle pieces? Or are you editing for sentence structure, grammar, and all that, or voice? Because the thing
mhm,
is, what happens is, and we know this because we've done it, we went through that whole thing, what is like early 2024. We had one or two clients come back after the whole like LLM shabam had happened, and they were trying to be this editing company, and we gave them a price to edit, and we were doing it, but like we were literally spending hours on these pages because they had to be
mhm.
rewritten. They were so similar. They were saying the same things, not even in a different way. And you can't have that. You can't have those same iterations going up on your site because we know it then gets cannibalized. So it's
Well,
then
and
I think what happens is you are paying this editor and then complaining about how much this editor is costing you because you think it's going to be a
mm,
shortcut, but your editor ends up being a writer.
yeah. You and I have talked about authenticity, and editing is another layer of authenticity. And they're almost like this backstop of, because even when we were writing a lot of pages before AI, we could fall into that same trap of, wow, these pages are all the same and not even realize it. It's like
Yeah.
if I had 5 car accident pages to write for the same law firm, just different cities, I mean, you as a writer, that's where your nuance as a writer comes in. Your skill and
Uh-huh.
nuance is you have to say the same basic things 5 different times. But when you pop that H1 into AI without some serious customization on your end on the GPT or whatever you happen to be using, uh, guess what? It's using that same H1 that you're putting in over here in South Carolina, and someone's using that same H1 over in California, and it's giving them the same thing, almost damn near. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say you shouldn't ever use it. There is room for AI, but you have to be very involved in the process, which is in itself editing. It's just at the end of the day, there's this industry in this particular field. Legal, I think legal for financial planning, medical, I think there should be a human writer. I think there should be a human editor overseeing that, because that's where the success is gonna be moving forward, especially as the whole internet is doing its thing of proliferating AI and then using that to make more AI and that to make more AI. So
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I
that's all
love
I got.
those. Oh, all right. Well, then that's
Yeah,
it. Let's call
yeah.
it
I
a
mean,
day.
everybody got 20 minutes of that. Hey, y'all, folks. Hey, y'all have come through over the last since Victoria and I said this last. Like we were almost to 30. Well, guess what? We had like 5 subscribers from the last video. So thank you so much. Uh,
Yay!
We love it. If you're here just for the entertainment value, I understand, because, hey, that last video was a little wonky. But,
Hold
hey,
on.
we like and subscribe. What?
Like and subscribe. Hold on. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm holding
Oh
on.
my
I'm holding on.
God. Look.
Oh my gosh, it's a chunky monk fluff.
He was
Which one's
like
that? Was that Diver?
a diver. Yes. He's the one who likes to put his
Victoria has 2,
butthole in my face.
Diver and Aberdeen.
Yes.
So, isn't Aberdeen of Scot is that a Scot isn't that a town in Scotland or Ireland?
Aberdeen is the bar that my fiance and I met at. That's the only reason why we like the name. It might be Scottish. I
And
I have no idea. I have
I just
done
feel like in there I feel like I've heard
zero
a
research.
song about Aberdeen, and it feels very European. Anyway, if anybody made it this far and leave the comment, we'll interact. Alright, y'all, have a good day.
Like
Bye.
and subscribe.